What recommendations would you have for people who either have dogs up in cottage country or planning to take their dog, specifically in areas that are endemic
Well,
with Blasto?
that's a very good question because if dogs are running wild, they're susceptible. Um, if you've got them on a leash uh, down by the waterfront, I guess they still could. But I mean, if they're digger type dogs, um, they have a greater risk of exposure to the fungal spores. Um, but a dog in cottage country, they're there to enjoy themselves, and it's um, it's a gamble. It's a risk. There's not much you can do other than keep them in the cottage or keep them on a leash so that they cannot dig
Right.
or they cannot walk the shoreline and stick their nose in footprints or whatever.
Okay. The dogs are all getting it kind of in the same way. It's through disturbed soil.
That's a $64 question. Because it's aspirated, not aspirated, but inhaled, it has to be presumably that they're inhaling it. Yeah, because that's basically the only way it's transmitted. And if a dog has blasto, because I inquired about this because Rusty's a therapy dog, if he ever bit somebody, would it be transferable, the blasto, to a human? And it's absolutely not transferable. It's not in a form. Once it's inhaled into the body and the dog has the infection, it's a non-communicable um, infection. Yeah,
In your city in Winnipeg, are the veterinarians pretty switched on about keeping an eye out for Blasto?
I would say so because of the number of Winnipeggers who go to the Kenora area.
Right.
And I don't think blasto has been picked up north of Winnipeg much or west. It's all east, from
Okay.
what I understand.
Okay.
And whether it's the type of soil, whether it's pine trees, whether it's just endemic to the soil out there for whatever reason, it's got to be something like that.
So your belief is that there was some soil disturbance, and that was the reason why he may have picked it up.
I believe that, but it could have been that he got it on the shoreline just by freak accident. They don't know when the dog's inhaling them.
Right.
Um, he probably, whether he has to get a real good dose of the spores up his nose um, before the infection takes place. These are all unknown things that you just can't do a double blind crossover study to with dogs. They wouldn't want to purposely infect dogs with that.
Okay.
I would say it was the end of cottage season, and so whether he had picked it up in May or in August is unknown.
Okay.
It just hit us that we better take him to the vet, and he went on the antibiotics the next day. Once it was, and he was on them for 6 months, and they said that should be long enough. Had another urine test. It was clear. It was fine all winter. The next summer, late in the summer again, he had no cough, but we decided to do the urine test again, and sure enough, there it was, but in a lesser form, severity. Did
Okay.
another 6 months of the antibiotic. It was
Right.
clear, and he's never had it since the last 2 or 3 summers.
So that second test, then he had no symptoms at all. You just went in there as a preventative.
That's right. That's right. And like I said earlier, I've been breathing in those spores for sure for many years and never picked up the active infection.
And you mentioned so the urine test is a test that has to be sent to the States. That's correct?
There's no Canadian lab that does that that the vets know of.
The other test they do what? They do an X-ray, and then what else?
Um,
And the X-ray is an X-ray of what? The lungs, I guess.
lungs only, yes. And there is a cloudiness that can be seen in the lungs if the infection has somewhat progressed, I guess. Now, if they had taken that X-ray 3 weeks before, um, maybe the cloudiness wouldn't have been apparent.
How long does it take for the urine sample results to come back?
The turnaround is 3 or 4 days.
Okay. And so what was the name of the drug that you guys were using?
Itraconazole,
Okay.
Um, ITRA, ITRACONAZOLE. It's a fairly long-standing antifungal. It's been around, I'm guessing, 10 years or more. There's a family of drugs ending in azole, but itraconazole is supposedly the least toxic of two or three choices. And the second time he got it, we went online and I bought it from, it came through Germany, I think, but I think it was an East Indian source. But the drug proved to be very effective, and the cost was probably a fifth of what it would cost in Canada.
Okay.
I guess if you have any suspicion and you want your dog to have the best chance of living, um, don't delay, because if the symptoms advance, according to the vets, your chances become very poor of saving the dog. It is very deadly. It will kill that dog within a week or two in many cases, once the vet says, yes, these sores are blasto, or that severe cough is blasto. The drugs often do not work, or sometimes the drugs will kill the dog. The dog would have died anyways had you not given the drugs, but sometimes there's a sort of a reverse reaction. The body's immune system goes into shock because the drug is attacking the spores. You've got to use the drug if you want to save the dog. And if the dog is too far gone, they'll advise you not even to bother with the drug. I would recommend to people to have their dog tested at the end of every cottage season, just to make sure.
That's a good advice.
So, especially if you hear of other dogs in your area getting it,
Right, right. No, that's a
which is
good
what
point.
led us to having Rusty checked out. I think so. I think the dogs love cottage country. It's a risk you take, um, and it doesn't happen to every dog, but it does happen.
Right.
So, but
That's
don't let your dog dig is what we'll finish with.